So today we have Melissa Harris from the agency Seattle in our podcast studio today, and I'm excited to have a conversation with you and with Rob, I guess.
Yeah.
And I could say that.
She's not that excited for me, but she's very excited for you. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You. Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah. So it's on you.
It's on me.
It's on you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for a bit now, and we see it, often up at the office up in Kirkland with the agency, and so just collaboration wise, I think a lot of things that you're doing let me take a step back. What the agency Seattle is doing is very much in line with what we're doing company wise, but just personality wise, your focus, your passion, and what you do. Obviously, we're on the lending side, you're on the real estate side, so kind of go hand in hand. But we've become friends with you and getting to know you more. It's actually something that we want to kind of break down and share and kind of spotlight some of the things that you're doing within the community, not just, posting a sign and selling stuff. Obviously, you do that very well. But it's creating something that doesn't exist. And there's been some buzz around it, but we want to drill down on some specific scenarios and strategies and what you see and how you kind of approach the market. So, but first wanted to kind of get more of a understanding of who you are. Again, we know who you are, but let's kind of explain who you are, how you got into real estate, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into real estate in 2014. I think like most people in real estate, I didn't have that as a vision for myself. I kind of fell into it. Most people, I think that's the case.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I think if you have like, maybe a family member that was in real estate, maybe that's your path and your passion. But for most people like me, it's just something that came about with, different variables. And but now that I'm here, it makes so much sense. And it's like exactly where I was meant to be. But when I got into real estate at that stage in my life, I was single mom, working in coffee shops, still working through college, and had so many different interests. And I think in high school, I struggled with like knowing what my path would be because I had so many interests and I was, a great student. So it's like, do I want to be a doctor? Do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be, a physical therapist? Like, I don't really know. And so I went to college and was just trying to figure it out, kind of went crazy just because I didn't have a direct, super direct path forward, and just like overwhelmed with like, what do I do with my life? Because there's all these things that I'm good in and I have interest in, but I don't really know like where to go. So I was back home. I was a single mom working. And somebody had suggested to me, like, hey, you'd be really good in real estate. And I'm like, no way. Like, because I always thought of it as like a sales thing. And that just didn't seem right for me. And at that point in time, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. So I was taking some classes in like business law. And so thinking about the path ahead, especially being a single mom, is like, okay, I'm probably got 7 years ahead of me. Like, if this is the path I want to go. So why not just follow this and see where it goes? It's not going to take too long to get my license. Why not? Why not give it a shot? So I got my license, and someone had told me, I think the statistic was like, in the first year, the average agent sells one house. So I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to fucking work for me. I'm a single mom.
Right.
Like,
It depends how big that house is, though, right? Where?
So like, well, I'm walking away from, an income that's not great, but I have a kid to support. So I keep it, it's a little bit of a risk, but I gave myself 6 months and I said, okay, in 6 months, if I don't sell my first house, then I'm going to go back on the other path, get back into college and go that direction. So once I hung my license with the first brokerage, I sold my first house in 2 weeks. And it just clicked. And then I ended up selling 12 homes in my first year. So during that process, I realized like how perfect this business is for me, because with all those other interests and potential career paths, what I knew in my heart is that I needed to work with people.
Yeah.
And it also revealed to me how much I love architecture and design, and all these things just started to come together, and it just clicked. Like, this is my calling. This is where I'm meant to be. And obviously it was kind of a natural thing for me, having that success in that first year.
Right.
Which blew my mind, by the way, because I was so intimidated just thinking, like, this is a sales thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But it was really no different at the end of the day than being in the coffee shop and talking to people and building trust with people and customer service. So all that to say, that's maybe a very long story. I need to work on my elevator pitch for that. But that's how I got into real estate. And it's been 11 years now, and it's been an amazing journey.
Wow.
That's cool.
I didn't know that. So that's really cool. And I love that's the path that it took you on. And I think the fact that you were going to school to become a lawyer, I mean, you're reading all the contracts and
Right.
everything like that. I think that all just plays into it and just makes you that much stronger agent. So wow, that's
Totally.
incredible. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there's a couple things you touched on, and I've been doing this to be 21 years next month. We've talked to some amazing people, and what every time we were talking on the way here, like, we know these people, we work with them, they become our friends, and it's a situation where we're very picky on, because so much of what we do in this industry is based on trust,
Right.
and the fact that we respect you as a person, but also your reputation, because it's your livelihood. And so we never ever want to risk that in a situation. So we have to have the communication, have to be very professional. But talking with people that do this business at a very high level, I feel like they could do any business at a very high level.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were looking at law or being a doctor, it's funny because it's kind of cliche. It's like we talk about how compensation works in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, doctors do this. And everyone's like, you can't compare to doctors. Well, in a weird way, you kind of can, based on how much of an expert you really are.
Absolutely.
And so, the stats are the stats. I mean, there's 1,000,001 real estate agents, and the fallout rate is 80% in the first year, and I think it's even more within like a 2-year or 3-year period. And because it's not sales,
Right.
it's solution based, it's understanding,
It's connection.
exactly,
Yeah.
it's understanding people and how to get them where they need to be, solve that problem. The same thing's going to be with an attorney, same thing's going to be with a doctor, right? Like, and also knowing, like, and we use this analogy quite a bit, where it's like, you have a doctor, like, you don't have to, if you're a heart surgeon, you don't have to be a brain surgeon.
Right.
You have to understand the correlation. You have to understand, like, hey, I'm not the expert here, I'm going to bring this person in. And it works working with you and the entire team up there. Like, hey, I'm dangerous at this, I'm going to bring Robin Alvina in on this, and then we're going to talk about it. I was like, okay, well, strategy is this, but let's bring in the financial advisor on this, because there's so much overlap. And to be a true expert in any industry, I think you have to be very knowledgeable of everything that potentially is going to impact someone. So the legal side of things, right?
Right.
And then, you talked about on the medical side, just the psychology of what this is, because our highest and best use is dealing with people's emotions.
Totally.
And if you have a disconnect and you're only looking at the transaction, not the relationship, that's where things fail.
Absolutely.
So that is impressive. I don't think we did know that. 12 in your first year. Are you mad that you did do 13, or?
No.
I know you're a competitor for solid too, right?
Yeah.
You had drive, which
The competitive edge.
Well, it's just
for
like,
sure.
I need to make this work. Like, I'm going from, having an income to now I'm paying someone to be somewhere, and I'm now like running my own business. So it's like, I'm either going to make this work or I'm not. And
And you did.
and I did.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
the producers, the people at a very high level, I think you're kind of in that tier of, most of them are women.
Yeah.
And most of them don't have a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my back's against the wall, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Jen is a prime example of
Yes.
that, right? And so
Yes.
I look at her and am very inspired by just even the meeting the other day where she's like, you work here. Know who the fuck you are when you walk into that meeting, because you're that best solution for them. I mean, you have to have that attitude. And so, anyways, I just think it's really cool. And obviously we'll get into the details of why you're here on the education side of it, because you're kind of creating something that doesn't necessarily exist.
Right.
Again, people hear about it often, but want to kind of get your thoughts on that and how you discovered like this is something that we can do or I can do,
Right.
and what that looks like. So what I'm talking about, breaking the fourth wall right now. So what I'm talking about is basically the missing middle, right? That infill and the opportunity to build DADUs and ADUs.
Yes.
And or find property where you can remove the existing structure and build something where it's more high density. And so I'll let you kind of explain that, how you came across that as opportunities. And
so in the beginning of my career, I was so focused on buyers. I think that kind of naturally happens with agents, as they're getting into the business. And I was just hustling and doing so many open houses, and naturally you represent buyers. And then eventually it was just something clicked with me that, what am I drawn to? And it was always new construction. I always just that was my favorite thing to sell. It just, I just had a connection to it, like the design, just everything about it. So I represented so many buyers in the first few years on the buy side of new construction. And part of that was, going to agents in my office that worked with developers and they had the new construction listings, and then posting up and being their side agent. And I did it literally 7 days a week. And this is just a little side note for anyone. I just want to say this, like getting into the business or thinking about it. And I've talked to people over the years about this. You have to hustle. It's a numbers game. Like, you need to make the commitment, and you may sit at that open house and have nobody, but you have to be consistent. And so that's literally 7 days a week what I did in my first year, and that's resulted in the 12 homes. And then from that, of course, I got listings out of that eventually and built my business. And but so I was always drawn to new construction. Just, it lights me up. Like, I love it. I love architecture. I love design. I loved everything about it. The modern design, all of that. And so eventually, as I started to represent more sellers, I had this desire to get into the other side and be able to represent developers myself. And now, fast forward 11 years, I'm doing my own development stuff. But it was just a natural progression of like, this is what lights me up. This is what I excel at. I'm really good at it. I know it, the ins and outs of new construction. And so I gave myself that dream of like, okay, I want to go from representing the buyers to representing the developers. And now here I am doing my own stuff. So I think it's finding within, the business what lights you up. And one of my earlier sales managers, I'll never forget, Larry Johnson with Windermere, he took us out on tours. And I just remember him saying, like, which house spoke to you? We went and toured like an old cute craftsman that was so charming, and that's not my thing, frankly. But when we toured the modern townhouse, that lit me up. So that was really cool advice from him to just say, hey, just kind of feel these houses out and like what speaks to you. And for me, it was always the new construction. So that's how I got into it.
That's great advice. I love that. And also the fact that you recognize the development side and you saw yourself there and envisioning that, and now you're there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to that piece of it. And he doesn't know, but I've been reading up a lot about that. It's manifesting is real.
I'm
like
huge on that.
Right? The more you see yourself, the more that speaks to you, the more you tell yourself, you're going to be there. You're going to end up there.
I think a lot of people let fear get in the way of their path. And for 100%. Me, it's absolutely intimidating, and it was. Yeah. But it's like, you know what? I've done this now for all these years, and I've represented all these men doing that.
Yeah, I'm right here.
I too. Like,
no, I know what you mean.
There's nothing holding me back but my own fears. So I'm not going to let that be the case, and I'm going to figure it out.
Yep. And just like you picked yourself up, I mean, your full story, being single mom, you picked yourself up at that time. It's like, okay, that's probably like the biggest starting point for anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it doesn't matter how many times I fall. I'm going to keep going. I can
Yes.
get up again. It's like,
Yes.
doesn't feel great, but here I go,
Absolutely.
So, and the fact that you envisioned yourself there, and
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that piece of it. That's great.
Thank you.
I think we all need that. Number one, we need that cheerleader to push us forward, because sometimes you do need a little push, but also you're your biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. We're
that's great.
capable of anything that we dream.
Mhm.
And we are also in a country that allows that.
Yeah.
So dream big.
I love it.
And manifest exactly what you want your life to be, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. You're going to
have
hear
think
no.
positively.
Yeah. You're going to
Yeah.
hear no, but if you don't even try, you already have a no. So
Exactly.
go for it.
Exactly. And I'm so huge on all of that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love
Positive mindset goes a
Mhm.
long way.
Oh, 100%.
And gratitude.
100%. Yes. Gratitude. Gosh. Yeah. Grateful.
Yes.
So grateful. That's why we're here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's how we ended up in this
Absolutely.
room.
Yes.
So, I know. Then there's Rob. I can give him
And there's
that.
me.
Then there's Rob.
So let's kind of dig a little bit deeper on that process. So because you hear it surface level, right? I've seen news segments, but I've also had clients ask me like, well, what does that look like? I want to do a DADU or an ADU. And,
Good question.
what does that process look like where, one, how can you help an existing homeowner identify if they can actually do it? But two, how do you, as the investor, now developer, or if you're working with builders, how do you help them identify property that would be potential opportunities? Because I know there's people out there right now with they call it the silver tsunami, that aging population of, baby boomers.
Yeah.
Multi-generational type housing is a real thing. And so how do we do this? A lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes.
Right.
If not, own it free and clear. I heard it was 30 million people don't have a mortgage in this country.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy. I think
Yeah.
that's about 40% if I
Yeah.
was reading the same article on that, but don't quote me on it. But yeah, it's a lot. And so you have this tapped equity, or this untapped equity rather, that you could leverage
Totally.
to make your existing housing, work for the rest of your life or your family or whatever that is. So
Right.
how do you identify those opportunities?
Yeah, I think it starts with education and just understanding what you can do with a property. And so a lot of people don't know. They have no clue what they can do with their property. I think that you talked earlier about like having resources, and maybe you're not an expert in, knowing your lane, right? And then if you are not an expert in something, another aspect, finding those people and surrounding yourself with those people that can be resources to you. So for me, like, I'm not an expert in, permitting and maybe even just like coming up with the design and all that, but like I have the resources and the relationships that can help me with that, and partner with them so that I'm the visionary, I'm the creative, and I can say, hey, let's take a look at this together. And then I from there can like deep dive into it and maximize it to what I think is the best, highest in use of the property.
Mm-hmm.
But having those, like, not being afraid to tap into other people's expertise and knowledge, and creating those partnerships and relationships that can help you. But yes, educating yourself on what the requirements are within whatever municipality you're in. So like, for example, City of Seattle, knowing what are the zoning, like what each zoning code like designates, what are the setbacks, what are the requirements for lot coverage, all of those details, so that when you're looking at a property and evaluating it, like, is it going to be feasible, and what's the highest and best use of the property?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can look at the numbers from there and decide, like, are we pulling into equity? And, but I think there are so many opportunities for homeowners that they don't even realize. Like, I think a lot of people look at developers sometimes with a negative lens, and they're not even thinking about the opportunities for themselves to create wealth with their own property. Why not? Why can't? There's nothing stopping you from doing these things for yourself. It's not, it's not just these developers out here doing these things. Like, you can do this too,
Mm-hmm.
and create wealth for your family.
Yeah, we were at a meeting, probably 2 years ago, with a bunch of builders. We actually Saw Scott Cameron there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously he's very connected in that world.
Yes.
Um, but what was interesting is the volume of like units or housing just through infill was pretty staggering.
Yeah.
That's not the big national builders that do these
Right.
master plan communities and have more money than some governments, and it's building where we're existing. It's what was something that I didn't even look. I'm usually looking 2-3 steps down the line, but the one thing that I didn't even look at or even consider as I was looking at like all this opportunity is like, well, that's great. You can have this high density in this middle housing, but what about the utilities? What about this infrastructure? Right. What about, is all that tapping into existing sewer lines? And so then there's the cities that have to jump on board as well. Right. I think Seattle's been pretty, I don't want to say quick, but I think quicker than a lot to adapt to that, right?
Definitely.
Some cities, I don't know, Everett is one that's probably having some heartburn with it. We talked to someone that was even looking at like Spokane. Surprisingly, you think there's more land out there, but based on jobs and resources, downtown Spokane was something that was looking at it, but they don't necessarily have the infrastructure. Right. So, are you looking at, or do you have resources that we'll say based on the zoning, based on this? Here's the additional capital layout that has to come in to retrofit connections, sewer setup.
Yeah, I mean that's all a part of feasibility. It's like, okay, you're in the right zoning, you've got the right lot size, maybe you've got, paved alley, you don't have any massive trees. So all that checks out, and then you look at the utilities and you're like, "Oh my goodness, now we have on-site drainage, for example, or something that you just have to dive deeper into like all of those aspects to see if something really is feasible." So there's just there's so many variables.
Right. And you have to know what questions to ask too.
Exactly.
Right. So that's where you come in. You're like, okay, this is where I can direct you to have all of that, all those questions answered. So
yeah.
And the other thing is not only building generational wealth, we're multi-generational households now. So that's people are starting to look at that. And then I think you talked about it, and Seattle's one that's quick on it because it's so high density, but just having that multi-generational houses, there's a need. We're only multiplying. I don't know what our population is now, but we're multiplying people, and so we need that. We need it. So
is Seattle, we're talking Washington right now, but is Seattle is most of your stuff in the city of Seattle?
In Seattle. Yeah.
So you understand that process. What other areas are you actually looking right now, if any at all? I mean, if you know it and there's still opportunities, maybe it's not fully tapped, but are you looking at other areas?
Me personally, no, but I know that some of the larger developers that I work with have expanded into other markets such as Arizona and Montana, and there's also a lot of opportunity even in like Wyoming and Idaho. So me personally, no, I'm strictly in Seattle at this point, but there are just like when you let your you dream and you think about these opportunities, there are other states that are maybe a little bit more, there's more opportunity perhaps. They're not as expensive right now as Seattle, or maybe they don't have as restrictive of codes. So there's so many opportunities in other markets too.
Yeah. What do you foresee over the next year, 2, 3 years as far as the demand? Obviously there's the financing piece of it that we deal with. There's always that affordability issue, but I feel like there's still high demand, and whenever we see rates, dip down, we are exposed to that pretty quickly. Like it's a flood of people coming to make applications. But what are you seeing as far as the demand in the next couple of years? Are you seeing that just only increase over time, or do you think it's going to be pretty steady, or is there? What's your thoughts on that?
In terms of development? I think that, there's a couple pieces of legislation that are in effect now. So it's House Bill 1110, which legalizes middle housing, which is duplexes, triplexes, quads, even cottages, townhomes, and then there's House Bill 1337, which legalizes ADUs. So I think that we're absolutely going to see more development now because it's going to make it so much easier for people to maximize their properties within the single family zoning. So that's the key, right? Before it was maybe we're a little bit limited to multifamily zoning areas only, but these legislation bills allow for more development and density within the single family areas. So I absolutely think we're going to see a huge increase in development, and we need it. Housing has not been able to keep up. And so that's kind of the whole idea, right? Like creating more opportunities and density and affordability. So,
Right.
I believe, yeah, we're gonna see an increase in it for sure with the new zoning changes.
Yeah.
What's your forecast on like as far as your goals or your strategy moving forward? It's like how many units do you want to build on an annualized basis? Do you have that? I'm sure you have it planned out, but is it growing, or you want to kind of keep it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, I've got my real estate, brokerage sales business, right? So I maintain that but I, do the development stuff now too, which brings me so much joy and fulfillment. I absolutely love it. So I'm much smaller scale than like someone who's doing just building strictly, and they don't, work with people and have a real estate business, but I would love to at least do 2 projects a year. I think that's probably the max capacity for me right now with all the hats I'm wearing, but which is a lot. But yeah, that's probably my own personal goal, and I think it's very possible because again, I have great relationships with people, and so I'm a developer, but like I have relationships with the people who actually build out the houses for me. So I've got the vision. I say, hey, this is my property. This is what I want to do with it. And then I allow, those people to help me like achieve that dream.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot with a question.
Okay.
So we've been talking about ADUs and DADUs.
Yeah.
And so we're using all these, and we're guilty of this all the time in our industry. But explain to people what you can break the fourth wall if you want, but explain to people what an ADU is versus a DADU, and what's easier, like the permitting process. I talked to a gentleman down in Tacoma.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same thing, and I have to go through this process, and it's so painful. It's like, can't we just approve this?
Right.
Is that the same in Seattle? So I guess
No.
2 questions there.
Yeah.
What's the difference, or what is each one, and then what does that look like as far as the permitting process?
Yeah, and thank you for calling that out because I think sometimes in our business we just talk shop and we just assume that people know what the hell we're talking about. But ADU is accessory dwelling unit, and sometimes you hear the term DADU. That's just a detached accessory dwelling unit. So what that could be is, if you have a house with a basement, for example, with a separate entrance, that could be classified as an ADU. The lower level, and obviously it needs to have its own kitchen and bathroom and all those things to designate it as like an official, like legal ADU. But it also could be an attached ADU through an addition, which, by the way, it doesn't mean it has to have interior access. It could just be an exterior wall that's attached. Okay. That could classify as an ADU. And then, of course, detached it's a fully detached. It's its own little structure. Yeah. And then in terms of the permitting process for that, Seattle's actually been really amazing with this. They came up with pre-designed plans that people can go and select, and then it makes the process of permitting like super fast. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's a great option. Personally, I think when you're looking at a property, you really need to take the time and decide like what's the best design for this lot, because I think that is one thing I will say that in my years of doing this, that sometimes there's a disconnect between, the architect and like what actually sells, right? You've got all these architects behind the desk cranking out these plans. Fantastic. But how does that actually lay out on this particular piece of property? So we need to look at where the power lines are, where are there trees, where are the windows facing? What are we looking at when we look out that window? I know for my own development, there were some changes I needed to make with the plans because there was like a mechanical room that would have opened up directly onto the deck of the other property. So it's just taking the time to like really sit down and look at that plan and make sure it actually works for that property. It's great to have that, to expedite that process with those pre-made plans, but you need to make sure they actually work. And if you are selling them, make sure that it's actually something that the buyer wants.
Yeah.
And also I'll just say, for me being a real estate broker and a developer, it's amazing because I have that insight of what the buyers are looking for. What does the consumer want? And I had a walkthrough the other day with one of my builders, and not calling anybody out here or, trying to toot my own horn or whatever. But, we do this walkthrough and, the laundry was on like the lower level, like at the entry of this property. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, okay, I'm thinking in my head, this is not going to go well with buyers. Like, we need to think about this. So as we continued through the walkthrough and just talking through why are we doing this? And we came up with a solution. So now the laundry's actually going upstairs with the bedrooms. We changed some things around, actually saving them money on costs because it had entirely to do with the HVAC system and ducting and placement and all that. So we came up with a solution that is going to resolve that potential. Well, definitely it would have been an issue with the future buyer. But it's actually saving the builder money on how they're, putting the house together in terms of the systems. So
That's why people should work with you. Honestly,
maybe it's a woman's touch. I don't know what you want to call it, but
a little finesse goes a long way,
finesse,
right?
Yeah.
But like you said, you see both sides, so you
Right.
know what works, and you've seen
Right.
what works. So
which is beautiful.
it's your
So, yeah.
expertise right here.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of going back to what I was saying, like being that expert, when we talk about solution based, strategic based
Right.
consulting and solving problems versus selling a home. We've been in sales meetings where it's like, be a local expert. What the hell does that even mean?
Well,
Right.
And again, with anyone's industry, anyone's own world, if you're not looking outside of how people, just like you said, this buyer's not going to like this.
Right.
This is ridiculous. On
Right.
paper, it looks good.
Right.
And you're building it and it works. So why is it a big deal? But being very intentional on here, I'm going to help you avoid this issue.
Yes.
It's how to save money. But we've been, like I said, in those meetings where it's like, what does a local expert mean? Local expert doesn't mean that you're really good at sales and you have this much volume. It's like, that doesn't mean shit to anyone.
Right.
And
nobody cares about that.
and it's what are the problems that you're able to solve and who's around you that will make everyone, succeed in that situation. Like we have a client right now. When she originally bought her house, single mom and, just very, she has to put a little bit of a front because it's just her.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's got to be a little aggressive but I call her shit because she's like, she took out all of her retirement to put down on this house that she's now selling. And that's all she has. Now, thankfully it's going from one asset to another in her life. Right. So it's actually the money has grown, but I'm like, no, you're still young enough that I'm going to connect you with, one of my financial advisors.
Yeah.
You're not putting all of this down. We're going to look at the cost of servicing this debt. It's great to say I don't have a mortgage,
Right.
but you're working right now. You're going to be working for the next 20 years.
Right.
You have money coming in. You can service this debt. We're going to pay off all your other stuff. But if you have to call me because it needs a new furnace or a roof and do a refinance and spend $8,000 to, closing costs and prepays, whatever that is,
Right.
just so you can spend $4,000, that's ridiculous.
Right.
We're parking $50,000 into a money market. You're going to put what you took out originally, and we're going to put this back in there. We're going to look at your 401k through your company. You're paying off all your debt. Your mortgage is this. It's $600 less a month than what you have. And I hope we never talk again. And we both laugh. I'm like, that's how we solution sell. We helped her negotiate seller concessions. We're buying her rate into the low fives. We're solving a lot of problems for her up front. and she's been doing it kicking and screaming the whole time because she wants the lowest payment. But I want it to where 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, she looks back is like, holy shit, that's what I needed someone to be honest with me that this is the best solution. And so,
looking out for her best interest.
right.
As you did, looking out for the builder's best interest and that buyer whenever they come through.
So when we talk about local experts, when we bring people in to have conversations, it's not because, hey, this is a good topic. It's like these are people that actually understand what the hell they're doing and are creating things that don't necessarily exist or solving problems that, you know, potentially are going to be down the line that is going to save everyone some money. It's going to be successful. Our industry is so much based on I don't know if that's English. Our industry is based on reputation. And when we have conversations with listing agents on behalf of our clients, we have to explain that we're trying to preserve their reputation. They got that business for a reason.
Right.
We're not just, you know, you fogged a mirror. Oh, you know, doing the quick cowboy math, like, oh, you make this much, you've been there. Okay, yeah. Your pre-approval. So we're underwriting the thing because it's your reputation, it's their reputation, and it's our reputation. But that's what we feel is being a quote local expert. Is having all the resources to where sometimes maybe it's not us as the best solution for them. We have relationships with credit unions and banks where, hey, I'm going to introduce you to this person because yes, we can do this, but there's no reason to actually do it this way. They have a better product, better solution. So I love what you're saying, and again, just kind of reiterates the fact that why we wanted to talk about this, because it's we want people to see this, hear you talk, and have something resonate. Like, I've been wondering about this, and I'm looking at a situation where my mom and dad are aging, and the stairs are not working anymore, and I have space here, but all the rooms are upstairs. And how do I solve this?
Yeah, and it's actually, I have a client right now who we were talking, and it's pretty much that exact situation. She has her family, her parents are going to move in with her from out of state. She needs like single level. And so it's like, okay, this inventory, we already have an inventory crisis, but it's likely not existing right now. So let's talk about your options. And so we are working through that process now of trying to identify a property that we can add the ADU and create exactly what she needs. And it's just knowing and educating yourself on that process, and then having resources like you guys, because I know you have like construction loan options, and there's resources, right? So it's just people don't know what they don't know, and we're here to be that advisor for them. And that's what's amazing about you guys too, is you approach your business the same way I do. Is I'm here to be of service and help you and truly guide you to like what's the best thing for you. So yeah, there's so many opportunities out there, and it's just, don't let fear get in the way. Don't let, just find the right people that can help advise you and truly have, genuinely have your best interests at heart. So I know you guys run your business that way, and I do too. And that's why we're friends.
Right? That's right. Well, and speaking of close to the heart, you are you a chair member for...
Board member, yes, board member for
Westside Baby. Yeah, Malia, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so community is huge for me, and I think especially, with my roots being like a single mom, and it's a beautiful organization, nonprofit based out of West Seattle that services underprivileged families and babies all across King County. And so I was honored to be asked to be on the board of directors this year, and so it's very fulfilling for me and kind of a full circle moment to be in a position now, where I've, excelled in my career and built a life for myself, and in which I can support my kids. I have another kid now, and to be able to give back and use my skill set as a business owner and a creative, and be able to pour that into this organization and make an impact is huge for me. So
I think
very honored to be part of that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, to meet a child's basic needs is like, it doesn't take much, but you can give so much with your heart. So
yes,
when I saw that, I was like, oh, I love it.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's very honorable and great. So
thank you. Very fulfilling.
And that helps with is it food, diaper, like every all needs or?
Basically is essentials. So diapers is huge. Diapers, car seats, and even now clothing.
Yeah.
Also just like, every single thing that they give out to these families, they try to include, like a toy or a book or something fun that just gives that kid some, a moment of hope and just like excitement. We've heard from so many families. We just had our biggest fundraiser this past month and did very well. I'm so thrilled about the outcome with that. But we had people come in, partners that work with the families directly and speak about the impact it's having. And they talk specifically about how the toys and the books just like light the kids up. And it's just so meaningful. And, it's just heartbreaking because kids absolutely should have essentials. Like no family should have to worry about essentials, diapers and I know. I love you. I love your heart. Oh my gosh. It's I'm very grateful to be in a position where I don't have to worry about those things for my kids. One day I did. I was in that position. So yeah.
I think
thank you for
it
bringing
just
that
shows
up.
your
It's
heart.
a really thank you.
Yeah, and I
It's
appreciate it.
very, very important to me to give back and be grateful for where I'm at and
Back to gratitude.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I start every day like being, grateful for my situation and thinking about all the positive things in life and what can I do to make somebody else's life better. So, yeah.
I love it.
And that always comes back to me,
does.
like if
It does
you
come back
have
to
that
you.
mindset and, don't do these things with the expectation you're getting something, but life absolutely is better when you approach it that way.
Lead with your heart,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Using pain for purpose is it's not the easiest thing to do, but we've talked to Jen about this, talked to several people about this, but her passion with autism and that awareness, and her husband Scott with ALS and everything else, and
He doesn't have ALS.
he does not, but he's been touched by it, obviously.
Right.
We have a lot of passion with helping people with cancer.
Yeah.
Because we've been hit pretty hard with that in our family. So it's interesting because we have a platform, and we've talked about this often. There isn't really an industry that people are constantly having to educate, and video marketing, and so much is out there about buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell.
Right.
And part of going back to why we started the podcast is because we want to build these relationships based on trust. And the only way you can really do that is kind of exposing some of the things that you might not necessarily feel good about. It might be really horrible situations, might be embarrassed, whatever it might be, but there's a lot of strength in that because you have to overcome that every fucking day to, just survive. Right. And then to look at it from a point of gratitude, like I was there, but I'm not, and I'm going to give back and help people, through that, that way, find their way through that and do it with passion is actually really cool. We're fortunate to be in an industry where we can shoot a video like this.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. We can explain, our, reasons why it's important to us. But I can tell you, when I was talking to Jen and when we did the podcast here, talking about, autism, like the most engagement that we've gotten on videos was based on that. Like, oh my God, I want to meet her.
Yes.
Her story. And that's like the trust is built immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
And she knows that backwards and forwards. Same with,
Right.
hey, I've been there. I know what that feels like. I'm going to, and people are looking for that connection. And, the transactions of real estate, housing obviously is very important. Everyone needs a place to live and stay. That's a byproduct of doing all this other stuff. And I don't know about you, like when we start, talking about cancer and all this other stuff that's happened, it's a next level, different type of energy that you just go.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop because it's coming from a different place.
Right.
And
Coming from the serpent's heart. So,
So it's some of our, clients, I mean, you've heard some of those conversations I've had with people that, found out that they had cancer. Like, why are they calling us?
Yeah. Right. Right.
We're honored,
Right.
but there's trust there, obviously. Like,
Right.
you're calling us over family. You're calling your lender. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
That we put out enough out there to where they feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
And so that's why we want to ask that, because we know it's important to you.
Right.
And in my mind's like, okay, I got to get you connected with Stacy. I got to get connected. All these people that,
Yeah.
you know, we are, and we'll probably have to cut this, but we are the preferred lender for the Bonnie Lake Food Bank.
That's amazing.
Everyone's like, well, yeah, like they really need housing. You'd be surprised who actually have life happen to them where they might need help.
Right.
And food insecurity is no joke.
Yeah.
And you could live on the water and still need that help based on what's going on in your life. So that's that we wear that with a badge of honor. And so again, I know how important that is to you.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to, spotlight that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's also just having good perspective, and there's so many stressful things that happen in life and things we don't know, especially with development stuff too. Like there's always unknowns and stressful things that come up, and people are always like, why are you so chill? Like, why are you so calm? It's because I have perspective. Like, right. There are circumstances and people that are in way worse situations and struggling. So I just keep that perspective, and it helps me get through the day to know I got this. Like whatever it is, whatever challenge or obstacle, like I have the perspective to know I'll get through it.
There's a lot of strength in that. When people sense that from you and you're that positive and confident person, and like, okay, I'm feeling so insecure about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And you're very confident in where you're sitting, then there's a lot of strength in that, because then people are going to lean on you that much more.
Right.
Like, okay, she knows what she's doing. I need her advice. I need her help. She's been there. She's done that. And so that's the leader in you that people are going to feel comfort in. So
yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've touched on this a couple times, like 2 or 3 times, and so being a female in a male-dominated segment in housing, right? You're talking about construction and development,
right?
Kick-ass female.
Well, no, you're doing well, but what did you did touch on it a couple times, and so what is that like? What are I'll let you talk to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just even in real estate in general, like my entire career, there have been moments where it's pretty obvious that there's a bias, that I'm a woman. And the interesting thing is there's so many more women that are in this business than there are men, but it's very much like led by men still. It's definitely an old boys club in a sense. I actually feel very empowered by that. And I think that being in the development world now, like I'm excited that I get to bring my strengths as a woman into this, which is totally dominated by men, and have that different, eye for design and just that, detail and caring about the community. And, I've had situations where neighbors have been upset about, because everybody, nobody likes change. And I know over the years that in working with and representing other builders that sometimes neighbors go ballistic about what you're doing to their neighborhood. And so it's been really cool for me now that I'm the developer to go and like directly have conversations with these people and just say, hey, look, hi, it's me. Like I'm a friendly face. Like I'm here. I care about our community. I care about being your neighbor, letting them talk. And so, and coming up with solutions, right, to whatever they're concerned about. So I'm excited to be a minority in this business and be able to make a change. And I'm excited about it. So I'm going to take all the negativity and just focus it on like how I run my business and how I'm showing up and making a difference with it. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal because ultimately, I mean, when you look at the people that are purchasing the houses, yes, it's man driven. And yes, when you look at income and things like this, and it's dominated in the male community, but who really makes the decision in the household?
Absolutely.
Right? And then
I do.
Oh, no, you do not. We all know.
Okay.
We all
Hold on.
know Albie is in charge.
Oh, great. Here we go.
No, who decorated in the house?
Actually, you did.
Okay. Who designed? Who?
You chose the floors in the house.
Oh, you did, absolutely.
See, there you
That's where I was struggling. It's the fine details. Who did the layout? Who did the architecture on the remodel?
Well, that's you've known that. I don't have anything like that, so I'm gonna let you do that. Yeah, of course. But who had the final say?
Oh, she did.
Yes.
But
Ultimately,
let me put preference on that though. So I have a half sister, but she's 10 years older. She didn't live with us, but
Yeah.
I was with my mom. My mom and I were best friends growing up. So like it was a weird. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you're too close to your kid." No, we actually had fun together. But she would always ask my opinion on because she had
on design.
design, and
Oh,
so
I love that.
I would rearrange the house. She'd always ask, "What do you think about this?" And so I always had that.
I'm a cover wife.
Yeah. Pretty good cover, I think, Phil. Yeah, I got everyone fooled. But yeah, so it's definitely influenced by a woman,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so yeah, I have my opinions on things. Like when we bought the house we're in, like the day we moved in, I'm like, that wall, I'm tearing it out at some point. And that's the first thing that went when we did the remodel and it was like, I don't know. I'm like, no, it's going to look so much better.
Yeah.
And
Does.
I will say, but let me go back to the female side.
Yeah.
Mom was a very strong, confident woman, and you got your strengths from her. So
Yes,
I agree.
absolutely.
So
right?
I'm agreeing with you. And I'm just trying to make light of it, but the point is my influence was from a female,
Yeah.
from my mom, like
Right.
absolutely
right.
100%. So that just confirms exactly what you're saying. Please don't hit me, Yoga.
We're gonna have a chat after
Yeah,
this.
she's like cracking up, this motherfucker.
No.
So,
But, like you said, you're helping the communities, you're on the development side, you're easing everybody's, worries.
Yeah.
on that and, the neighbors that are concerned, you're talking to the families.
Right.
And after everybody, the whole household hears your, I don't want to say pitch because that sounds terrible, but your side of what you're developing in that community to make it better,
Yeah.
then they're going to see it for what
Yeah.
it is.
It's just approaching it from a standpoint of like, hey, we're all so much more similar than anybody thinks here. And I just want to hear out your concern.
Yeah.
What is it? And then I'll come up with it. Maybe I don't agree with it, but I'll still come up with
Right.
a solution that's just, customer service based. But I think maybe it's a woman thing, maybe it's not, but I know it's not common.
Right.
It's not common the way that I'm approaching things
Mhm.
with my own development
Right.
business. So yeah.
But in the end, you're making that community that much better.
Right.
So
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
even though it's not common. Don't look at you.
I mean, we do an amazing job with
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But you're bringing that sense, that finesse, that, that personal touch to it that
Yeah.
can only come from you.
Yeah,
I appreciate.
definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
sweet. No, I agree. I agree 100%. There's, the people the professionals that we work with, the ones that are dominating,
That do well. Yeah.
are all female. And that's I don't think there's it's up by mistake. I think that's,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just, and I think it's because there's always been something that's, when you feel like you're lesser than, or you don't have an option, there's no other choice but to just kick ass. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah.
Women definitely have a lot more to prove, right? Like
Even if you don't, you feel like you feel it.
You
Yeah.
feel like
Right.
yeah, there's the pressure.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
and
I know that's part of the reason I'm so driven.
right. And that
know.
little sense of doubt that someone gives you. It's
Right.
Okay.
It's like, oh, really?
Now I'm going to kick this door.
Exactly. You just watch.
Yeah. You just lit a fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We've looked at some of your projects, and we look at, because some of them they're condos, right? Based on density, and
Right.
financing type, building the ADU or the DADU or the remodeling aspect of that. There are the construction loans. There's rehab loans. What we found, if it's going to be improvement on existing property, most of the time it's tapping into the equity, um, to just pull from. You don't really need a
Right.
full on construction loan where you have a general and you're going through the draws and everything
Right.
else. We have that. It's just that's a big process sometimes. So it's a lot easier to
Right.
like, hey, let's just get the liquidity and let's make sure we're planning this out to where we have enough that we can get it done. And
Well, also, there's just not one way. Like to your
Exactly.
point,
Right.
there's not just one way. There's many different avenues of
Absolutely.
how to approach it and tap into the equities.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
having that conversation, and everybody's finances is so specific to them that
Right.
there's not just one answer.
it's funny because the marketing in our world can be really good to where you see the house that's kind of leaning and the fence it's all, and then the next picture is like this white picket fence and it's perfect. And people are like, well, hey, I want the rehab loan, or I want to do a construction loan. And then I'm not trying to squash anyone's dreams. We absolutely do it. But let me tell you, from my point of view, we've looked at construction loans personally, and there's a reason why I haven't built. It can be a process. It can be
Right.
painful. I want you
Right.
to like me at the end of this. You
Right.
absolutely can do it. That's what we do for a living. But just know that it isn't what your buddy at work said, or your uncle, said, oh yeah, I can do this. It's very involved with the permitting, the processing, and the
Yeah.
draws. And when you have a lender that is with you for a year every step of the way,
Right.
that can be a lot. It can be overwhelming. And the same
Right.
with like a rehab loan. Yes, we have it. We've done it. But I would say out of everything that, like all the applications we've had in for rehab loans, like 203K or Fannie and Freddie's version of that, everyone kind of is like, why would I pay more on this when I can do this myself? That's what I'm
Yeah.
like, exactly. This
Right.
loan's designed for someone that has a hard time changing light bulbs.
Right.
Is what-
Right.
Which we know some people that have a hard time changing light bulbs, and that's not. I'm just saying they're amazing in other things, but they just don't have the ability to.
Yeah.
They don't have the vision. They don't
Right.
get it. They don't see it, and so
Yeah.
it's a great product. But someone that thinks that they can do the self improvement themselves, that's like, no, you have to liability, everything else. So it's just a process. There isn't always the right answer for everything. Yes, there's
Right.
construction, there's rehab.
Many
but
different solutions.
a lot of times
Yeah.
it's like, hey, here's a way we can do this, and we just present it and then
Right.
weigh it out. So yeah,
Right.
it's
Well, that's why it's important to have someone that you trust,
Yeah.
and like you guys, and that you can look at their scenario and decide what's the best option for them.
Right.
So there's options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for sure.
Plenty of options. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And happy
guys.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you. So fun to
That's it.
spend my birthday with you guys.
Yeah.
Starts now.
This is amazing. Yes, absolutely.
Before, actually.
Yeah, it did start before. We
Ricky-
were already having fun.
Ricky, you got to do a bunch of claps now with that thing for her birthday. Make it clap. Make it clap. Yeah.
Yes,
so-
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have already done that.
Go.
Maybe.
Might have already done that. You've met Ryan.
Yeah.
So can you turn that mannequin around right there? So
Oh my gosh, what is this wig? Oh!
So you've seen the RA source
Wow.
before, right?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so Ryan does the RA source in here. It's been doing it for 14 years
Swing.
or longer.
Oh my gosh.
He had it, and we were supposed to do a podcast with me, Miguel, and Ryan had something come up, and I'm like, okay, I was emailing you or messaging like, I need you to print out a picture of him. We're gonna put it on there. So
That is so
it was
funny.
Miguel and I. We were talking, and we had Ryan there. Like, so we'd ask Ryan a question, and it was like crickets.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
that's
we're
hilarious.
just kind of a weird sense of humor. But anyways, yeah, Ryan helped us with a little bit of a birthday shot prior to this.
Yes.
so it's
Yeah.
cool.
We're the party's already started.
Yeah.
Right?
So
No, this is so fun. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
I was going to say, actually, one more question. What projects do you have coming up?
So I have I've got some stuff coming up in Bellevue. That'll be probably towards the end of the year. It's a single family and then an ADU. I'm really excited about that. Then I've also got a development in Magnolia coming up, and then let's see, what else do I have? Stuff in West Seattle. So there's always stuff in the pipeline that, maybe is like a year or two out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
also just, for buyers, if you're looking for new construction, that's what you want, find someone that does this and, start asking questions and
Find
find out what
Melissa.
inventory's like coming up. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Also, if you have questions about DADUs and ADUs, we can definitely get you connected to Melissa. That way we can get some answers pretty quick. So
Yeah, sounds great.
sweet. Well, thank you again.
Thank you
Happy
so
birthday.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Squad.
Appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so
All right.
much.
See ya.